Welcome to the Light and Love Box channel. You are part of a growing community bringing peace, possibility, and prosperity to help transform our world with light and love. Today, we're going to be exploring purification. My name is Tracy Anderson.
And my name is Joe Courier.
When we look at purification, I think there are two aspects that we have to kind of focus on. One, you have that internal side, and then you have that external side. And when I say internal, I'm talking about things maybe we have done that have hurt others, and things on the outside that have been done to us that have caused us harm.
We're looking at that part that we can control, that internal part, perhaps the self work that we've talked about before. And I think purification starts there because we have to be able to identify what it means to begin to cleanse and to let go of things before we can then translate that into allowing things that have happened to us, letting those things go as well.
When I was thinking about this, I don't know, I think I just kind of looked back on my life, and I know everyone's in the same situation. There's things we've said and things we've done that I think we need freedom from those things just as much as the things that have been done to us that have hurt us, because I think we carry around a lot of regret or just shame for things we've said or done.
Also, more aware of when something happens to us, we then go back to that inner cycle of that shame, that regret, that guilt, whatever it is, it surfaces quickly because it hasn't been dealt with internally. And so it's triggered, or our buttons are pushed when something happens to us. So you're right. I think all of those things are really important in order to then move in a place where we just have peace and calm within us and around us.
And I think there is some karmic benefits to also going through this purification process, clearing up those karmic events, whether it was internal or something external that happened to us.
And when we don't, they continue to reoccur.
Mm.
And this gets stronger usually in terms of how it affects us or what our reaction or response is. But I think we also gain a lot of health benefits from this idea of purification, because we're talking primarily emotional purification, mental, and that translates into energetic things. I think a lot of people think of purification as a physical happening, and it has to be both. So physically, we also need to be working on the purification of our physical bodies, letting go of things that are toxic. And it's not just toxic relationships, it's toxic behaviors, toxic foods, toxic environments. And to begin to look at it as an entire big picture, not just one aspect.
Well, and people might not realize how much effect those things have on our bodies, because when you think about emotions, people don't always realize that it can then manifest in a physical form and become, dis-ease in some capacity.
Well, and that's what stress is. Stress is a leading cause. Between 80 and 90 some percent of all illnesses, according to the American Medical Association, are the result of stress. Stress is just mental and emotional imbalances, and it becomes physical. So we need to work on both of those things. When we work on those things, don't you agree, Tracy, that it becomes a place where it translates then into a bigger picture in our lives? When we begin that purification of the inward, than, let's say, relationships at work, relationships with family members, relationship with significant people in our lives become improved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like this magical transformation when we heal and clear up things for ourselves internally. That is so powerful in what happens externally with relationships.
I think it also allows us to let go of relationships that are unhealthy.
We've definitely talked several times about, finding the root cause of something, forgiving and healing and doing these processes so that we can be free. And I'm reminded of the relationship with my husband. You know, when we first got married, there were all these things going on that we needed to, that we were constantly battling and fighting and all this stuff. And I made a conscious decision that I was going to start healing myself
Yes.
because I could not change what he was doing. I couldn't change his behavior. I couldn't change his decisions, but I could change myself.
Yes. And
And
your response to the things that he was bringing into it.
yes, exactly. And so as I started to heal, our relationship did a 180 over time. Like what we had in the beginning is not even remotely what we have now.
Right.
And we have a stronger, healthier relationship. And I would say that is the experience that most people are going to have, because
Yes.
when you can work on the things that you can control, your responses change. You're coming from a standpoint of responding and not reacting.
Right. It's that sense of peace and calm that
Yes.
allows you to stay in that place of equity, but then you can take that and hopefully diffuse a situation with that peace and calm. My husband and I, we've been together like 45 years, which is a very long time. And relationships do change over time. And the hope is, I think most people hope that long term relationships get stronger and, like you said, healthier and become even more of a situation where we support each other rather than triggering each other into those unhealthy places of behavior and words and patterns.
Mhm.
But Jeff and I have taught a class on relationships because the very first relationship you have to work on is your relationship with yourself,
Uh,
right? But
yes.
in the moment that we are conceived, relationship plays into it. Your first relationship is with your mother because you are in utero for 9 months, ideally. But when you first arrive, you are totally dependent on that relationship in order to thrive and survive and to grow. But then that translates into the relationship of whatever your family situation is, or the
Mhm.
relationship with your environment, your community. And it grows from there. So, from my perspective, I really believe that everything in our lives is based on the foundation of a relationship. And that's what we're seeking is a relationship with others, a relationship with nature, a relationship with something spiritual so that we have a sense of purpose and greater assurance that there is truly light and love in our world and that we want to become a part of that. And this goes back to that where you're talking about karmic cycles.
Mhm.
I think we all ascribe to coming back to wanting to improve our quality of life. Hence, we improve the quality of life of everyone around us.
Mhm. You just mentioned that the first most important relationship is the relationship with ourself.
Yes.
And in our world today, I think that is probably the most forgotten important piece of information.
We also have to realize that it doesn't mean an unhealthy relationship with yourself. Those
Correct.
narcissistic tendencies, those selfish tendencies, the place where you aren't able to be empathetic and to reach out and have generosity and kindness and just be a good human.
Yes, of course. We
So
always mean be a good human first.
yes,
But
yes,
but I think just over our course of talking to individuals, we keep kind of hearing the same message. Oh, I don't take time for myself. I don't make time to do these types of reflection. And so that's one of the things that I do love about Light and Love Box so much is that by having it come to you every single month, it
yes,
is at least giving you one opportunity
yeah,
every single month to slow down, reflect internally so that you can heal and improve those relationships externally and create community and all these other things. But
exactly.
when we can fill up our cup, we can then flow out and be a blessing to other people.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And when you said that we've been talking with people about this same, and they're saying, well, I don't do anything for myself. I generally, it is women.
Yes.
Generally, they say they are either too busy because they're trying to keep things afloat in their lives, in their families, or whatever, or they are just a natural giver and they give and give until they themselves are depleted. And,
Mhm.
none of us can thrive when you work in a place of constantly depleting your own resources. So, and that's again a very good point that you brought up. Light and Love Box gives you at least one opportunity. And the goal is to then help people realize that they can translate that into other small opportunities and almost every day of their lives to be self aware and self nurturing and to create that happiness that they deserve.
I think it starts opening a door so that it becomes easier to bring in mindfulness and other meditative practices.
Out in nature and walking,
Yes. Yeah,
saying,
even
"Oh,"
simple stuff.
yeah, and it only takes a few minutes. It's not like you have to dedicate an hour every day. In fact, they say that there really is no benefit to increasing from 20 minutes of like a meditation or prayer time or being, well, I think outdoors is not included in that because I think everybody benefits from being outside more than 20 minutes. But
Yes.
all of those things, 20 minutes in the course of 24 hours is a very small amount of time to give yourself.
We have a it's called City Forest that's close by to where we live, and so Miles and I like to go walk there. And he always brings up forest bathing. I had never heard the
Yep,
term before,
yep. The
but
practice, Japanese practice. Yep.
yeah, there is something magical going out, being with the trees and being connected to the earth. It's very, very healthy and good.
Oh, it's very grounding and it is magical. I mean, look at you today. You're in an enchanted forest, which is perfect.
Yeah, I saw this and I was like, yes, that's where I want to be.
Well, Jeff and I lived right in downtown for about 5 years, where there was sidewalks and businesses and restaurants. And, we looked out our window and all we saw was the street and cars and humanity. And I realized I was literally dying inside because I needed to have my toes in the grass and my fingers in the dirt and flowers around me and trees. And, that's when we began to search for what we call our little piece of heaven. And I can never, ever go back to just being in a place where I don't have that. When we go into this place of purification, I think the outdoors also offers us purification because think about being in someplace like the city forest. What do trees do for us? They exchange the oxygen and the CO2. Often there's like a stream or a river. Water is incredibly purifying. When it runs over rocks, it naturally cleanses itself. That's why, those clear mountain streams or the streams from or the springs, water from natural springs are completely pure. And we utilize those things to help our bodies become even more pure. There's things where you translate from your body being pure, then you're more able to have your thoughts become pure and your words and your actions and your behaviors. And it just keeps trickling on down the line. Let's talk a little bit about what's in this purification box that's coming people's way.
Yes, there are some pretty interesting elements, and I'm hoping you can touch on the shungite pendant because that is providing this purification connection when it's combined with the water that I think is very powerful to this ritual. There are earth elements because we have the crystals and the beads,
And
but
the herbs.
yep, but the herbs, there are a significant number of herbs in this box that are all contributing to that purification energy.
In part, the pendant that's coming everybody's way is made out of a stone called shungite. And this particular shungite comes from Russia. It is a stone known as stone of life or miracle stone. A lot of people recognize it as a purifier for not only water, and it has been used historically to purify water. In fact, the Russian royalty, the czars, one of the palaces was built on the Shungite River, the Shungite Valley, because it was so cleansing and purifying.
Mm,
That's where they would be able to live and to renew themselves. But then shungite is also recognized as a purifier environmentally because it absorbs what we call EMF, all of those frequencies that come to us from our electronics and all of the environmental things that affect us on a level that a lot of people don't even realize. Like having TVs and computers and your cell phones, like right in your bedroom or next to your head as you sleep. All of those things are continuously emitting EMF. And we we are unhealthy because of it, quite honestly. So
mhm,
to be able to push those things outside of the space where you sleep at the very least, unplugging your electronics, putting your cell phones like a good 4 to 6 feet away from your head as you're sleeping. It's
mhm,
really important. And shungite helps us to do that. I wear literally every single day a shungite and copper bracelet just for that reason, because it does help me stay in a place where I feel healthier. And some people, when they get this box, may not want to dip their shungite in the water, but shungite literally is safe and it is used in water to purify it, to remove harmful aspects. So it is going to be safe. It's not something where you're taking a rock that might be full of dirt and that kind of stuff and putting it in water.
and the other really interesting thing that we've brought in that I'm very excited about is we're taking into account the balance that solar and lunar energies will bring to this ritual.
Oh,
So
so important, Tracy.
yeah, so I'm really hoping, as part of the prep phase, people do allow their pendant to sit in the water through a full 24 hours before they actually do the ritual because there is something extremely powerful when we can use the balance of the solar and the lunar energy to charge that water.
Well, it becomes that divine union of masculine and feminine and bringing that place of complete balance and unity. Too heavily weighted in a feminine aspect or too heavily weighted in a masculine aspect. People don't realize that divine masculine and divine feminine means that within each of those qualities that we recognize, there is balance. So it's really important to include that solar, which is considered the masculine energy,
Mhm.
with that full moon aspect, which is that divine feminine. So our forefathers called it father or grandfather sun and grandmother moon. So
Mm.
they recognized that masculine and feminine that we are hoping people take advantage of and utilize in this ritual.
Well, we invite those of you who wish to dig a little bit deeper to visit the links below and check it out. We have a subscription opportunity that allows these boxes to come to your door every single month so that you can participate in these healing transformational adventures.
And to actually go back and look at any box that would add to that healing adventure for you. So there is a healing box, there is a self-work box, there is a so many rituals that you can begin to utilize to build all of those qualities that each box then innately brings with it.
We also invite you to like and subscribe to our channel so that you receive notification anytime we release a new video. And we thank you for joining us today. We hope that this message inspires you.
So that that well-being aspect goes into every area of your life personally, and then for it to grow into a community as well. So thank you for being part of the Light and Love box, the Light and Love channel. And we look forward to having this adventure again with you in a month.